What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Friday, March 8th, 2024, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. We have some major breaking news coming in from Russia. So, what you're looking at here is a mobilization order from the Russian Ministry of Defense, and this was signed by Sergei Shoigu. Now, this is actually translated using Google Lens. So this is not the original document, but you can see here it calls for a mobilization that's going to come into force starting March 25th. Okay. And it says here partial mobilization of 300,000 citizens no later than June 1st, 2024. Okay. So the order goes into effect at the end of this month, and they want to mobilize 300,000 Russians by no later than June 1st of 2024. This is absolutely huge news, guys. And this coincides with what a lot of Western leaders have been saying, that Russia is planning a massive counterattack this coming spring and summer once the ground dries up in Ukraine. Zelensky said that Russia was planning a big counterattack later in the spring and going into summer. And that's why NATO has been discussing the possibility of deploying troops to the front lines in Ukraine to prevent Russia from reaching the capital, Kyiv, or the critical port city of Odessa. We know that Russia wants to take those cities. Dmitry Medvedev was calling on the Russian military to take Kiev and Odessa several weeks back. He said that those are basically Russian cities and that they have to be brought back to Russia. So this is huge, guys. And yesterday, Emmanuel Macron had a meeting with the French Parliament where he said that if Russia makes an advance towards Kiev or Odessa, then France would send in troops, okay, a direct intervention to prevent Ukraine from being taken over. Because if Russia takes the capital and if they take Odessa, Ukraine is basically finished, okay, because obviously one of those cities is the capital and the other one is the main port city, and that would essentially landlock Ukraine, and Ukraine is reliant on their Black Sea access for their economy because they're a big agricultural based economy, so they need the Black Sea to ship their grain out. If Russia cuts them off from the Black Sea and then takes their capital, they're done. Okay, so Emmanuel Macron actually said yesterday that there would be some type of intervention directly if Russia advanced towards Odessa or Kiev. This was confirmed by Fabien Roussel, who is a member of the Communist Party of France. So this is very, very serious, guys. And yesterday, Macron doubled down on his willingness to send troops into Ukraine. He said there will be no more red lines and no more limits. He said Vladimir Putin has no limits and we shouldn't have any limits either. Okay, so the situation is escalating, guys. I'm telling you, Russia is going to plan a massive counterattack. Here you have the evidence. It says right here, partial mobilization, 300,000 citizens no later than June 1st. Okay, so that means that this massive attack is going to start sometime in June or July at the latest. Okay, maybe even before that if they can get everybody they need earlier, then they don't have to wait until June 1st. Okay, and it's signed here by Sergei Shoigu. Okay, so this is extremely serious, guys. We could see a big confrontation between Russia and NATO this coming summer if Russia is going to overtake Ukraine and collapse the Ukrainian front lines and move towards the capital or move towards Odessa. NATO is going to have to get involved. Okay, they're not going to allow Russia to take over Ukraine. They're not going to allow it to happen. They're going to have to get involved somehow, okay, directly. That's what's going to happen. They've already invested billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars in defending Ukraine. They're not going to let it go for nothing, okay? And Taiwan's Ministry of Defense clarified its definition of first strike, saying it considered any Chinese military asset crossing into Taiwan's territorial borders as an act of aggression. The Ministry of Defense said in a press release Friday, March 8th, that if enemy aircraft or vessels intruded into Taiwan's airspace or waters, then commanders are authorized to take appropriate measures to maintain national defense security when all other non-peaceful means fail. When a country is subjected to armed attacks from external sources, it has the inherent right to use force for self-defense, the ministry said. Wow, guys, this is huge, absolutely huge. Okay, so Taiwan's military is basically giving the green light to their commanders to retaliate against China if China violates their territory in any way. If they sail ships into Taiwan's territorial waters, that means that they can open fire if they need to, if there's no peaceful means to get them out of the territorial waters. This is huge, guys. Okay, another sign that there's going to be a war between China and Taiwan, and the U.S. is going to get involved. And Canada has joined the list of countries warning of an impending terror attack in Russia this weekend. The US, the UK, Germany, and Sweden have already issued travel warnings for their citizens in Russia, telling them to avoid large gatherings in Moscow in particular, saying that there's a chance of extremist groups conducting attacks on large gatherings. Okay, so I'm going to be monitoring the situation. If anything serious happens, I will update you guys. And Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, said that Putin tried to kill him at least 10 times already. He said this on an Italian TV show today in an interview. This comes after Putin tried to kill him earlier in the week while he was going to meet the Greek prime minister. And this update was sponsored by Patriot Supply. Guys, Patriot Supply is doing a discount on their 1-month emergency food supply. And to get the deal, you got to go to preparewithnyprepper.com, and the link is in the description below this video. This is a 1-month freeze-dried food supply. It has a 25-year shelf life, and it's all packed within 2 rugged, water-resistant buckets. Free shipping is included. $177 for 1 month of food. Where are you going to find a deal like that? They also have a general store, and they're always running discounts in their general store on various prepping and survival items. They have everything from MREs, potassium iodide, to survival seeds. And to get to their general store, you got to click on the Patriot Supply logo at the top of the page when you get to preparewithnyprepper.com. And you'll see when you get there, they have everything you can imagine. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get $60 off the Patriot Supply 1-month emergency food supply. That's $180 for 1 month of food, free shipping included. The link is in the description below this video. And also check out their general store. They have everything you can imagine prepping and survival related, and they're always running various discounts there. A Russian missile missed his convoy by 150 meters. The Ministry of Defense of Norway reported that the Czech initiative for the purchase of shells for Ukraine has increased by 200,000 shells, from 800,000 to 1 million artillery shells for Ukraine, the deliveries of which will begin in the coming weeks. Okay, so Ukraine is now going to get 1 million artillery shells. It looks like there's been a lot of supporters of this initiative. And if you're not familiar with this initiative, basically the Czech Republic said they have 1 million artillery shells that they're willing to give to Ukraine, but they want to have other countries basically pay for them. So they're not just giving away all their artillery for free. So a bunch of NATO countries have been giving money to the Czech Republic for them to release those shells to Ukraine. So it looks like They're going to be getting these shells very, very soon. And time is of the essence, guys, because Russia is mobilizing 300,000 troops. Okay. That is double the number of troops that they had at the start of the war. Okay. 300,000 troops, guys. Think about that. That is insane. Okay. That is double what they had to start the war. So it looks like Russia may try to go in for the kill this time. They may just go right into Kyiv and Odessa with all those troops. They may try to find a weak spot and then just keep pushing as hard as they can to reach the jugular. That's what I think is going on here. Okay. And here we have the travel warning from the U.S. Embassy in Russia. Okay, avoid large gatherings over the next 48 hours. And here we have Emmanuel Macron tweeting a picture of his meeting with the president of Moldova, Maya Sandu. And he basically said that he's backing Moldova in their quest to join the European Union and eventually NATO. And they were going to sign some kind of bilateral security agreements. So looks like Macron is stepping up, and he's got more balls now than anybody in Europe, and more balls than our president. It's really sad that these countries have to take the lead when we're the most powerful country in the world militarily, and you have countries like France and the UK, which they're very powerful militaries, and they have nuclear weapons too. But we're basically sitting in the back while France is leading. I mean, we should be leading, makes us look very, very weak. And here we have some nuclear war command and control planes that were up in the air this evening. Here's one of them that flew from Patuxent River to Tinker Air Force Base. We had 6 in the air today, which is a lot, guys. Here we have 2 more that were airborne over the western U.S. And then here we have 3 that were airborne this afternoon over the Plains states. So 6 nuclear war command and control planes in the air today. That is absolutely insane, guys. So our nuclear forces are still on high alert, and I think things are really going to pop off as soon as the ground dries up in Ukraine, which is going to be actually sooner this year than last year because it's been a very warm winter in the northern hemisphere. There's an El Nino right now. So there's already a thaw going on right now in Ukraine. So I believe that the ground is going to be dried up by April or May at the latest. I think it's going to dry up much sooner this year than last year. So things are going to get crazy once Russia sends 300,000 men to the front and they start making breakthroughs. NATO is going to really be tempted to send those troops in. Russia has started the mass production of their heaviest conventional bomb, the Fab 1500. These 1.5-ton bombs are increasingly being used in Ukraine. Recently, a Fab 1500 was dropped on a multi-story building in the town of Krasnogorovka near Donetsk. Russian propagandists filmed the Fab 1500 kaboom from 2 different angles. One of the recordings shows the bomb being dropped on a residential neighborhood, falling and going kaboom, unleashing a fireball 20 stories high. Look at this fireball, guys. I mean, this is absolutely insane. These are apartment blocks, and those apartment blocks look tiny compared to that fireball. And the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps has apparently issued an evacuation order for all of their headquarters in eastern Syria in Al-Bukamal and Al-Mayadin. Apparently, there's been a lot of drone and unknown warplanes flying over eastern Syria. Potentially, the U.S. is going to launch some airstrikes. And remember a couple of weeks ago when the Biden administration was saying, we're going to launch this big campaign to deal with these Iranian proxies. It's going to be a long-term campaign with multi-stages. And what you see today is not the last. Well, looks like they were lying to us as we figured they would. Okay, after that initial strike, we haven't seen any more strikes. Okay, and the president of Turkey, Erdogan, announced his willingness to organize a peace summit with Russia and Ukraine. He said this today when he met with Zelensky in Turkey. Okay, in his own country, Zelensky visited Turkey today. So very interesting. And the French Ministry of Defense is reviewing the doctrine on its use of troops. Okay, so they're going to update their doctrine in case they want to go into Ukraine. And the F 35 stealth fighter has officially been certified by NATO to carry nuclear weapons, including the B 61 nuclear gravity bomb. It has become the first stealth fighter in the world to be certified to carry nuclear weapons. So now these F 35s are basically going to be like mini stealth bombers, guys. And there's multiple countries in Russia now that have F 35s, and basically every country now is upgrading from F 16s to F 35s in NATO. Every NATO country is trying to buy F 35s. Poland just placed an order for like 30 of them or something. Multiple countries have them already in Europe, and this basically provides a nuclear strike capability for countries that don't have their own nuclear triad, okay, like Poland or Finland or some of these other countries that don't have ICBMs. They can have their F 35s and then borrow a couple of B 61 gravity bombs, and they can fly those F 35s into Russian airspace undetected and drop, a 300 kiloton nuclear warhead on top of, critical targets in Russia. So this is huge, guys. Okay. A lot of people don't realize that, but once all these countries buy these F 35s, you're talking about hundreds of F 35s in NATO, and each one of those F 35s can carry a 300 kiloton nuclear gravity bomb. Okay. So you're talking about hundreds of mini stealth bombers. That's huge. And at least 3 people were killed, including National Guard pilots and a Border Patrol agent in a Texas helicopter crash. One survivor is in critical condition. So that's the latest breaking news that I have. I will be back probably Monday with more updates because I have some family visiting me. So I'm not going to be able to post these kind of updates over the weekend. However, I will be doing the 24/7 live streams, and I will be posting outdoors content and firearms content in the meantime. So, and I will be popping into the chat of the 24/7 live streams, and I will put out an update if something serious happens, okay, if there's something crazy going on. But other than that, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.